In Fly, in addition to things like setting up your Exchange Online connections and your service accounts, there are other things you can do as well, like for instance setting up a migration policy. There is a default migration policy included with Fly, but if you'd like to set some of your own settings, you can do that before going in and initiating your migration mappings. To do that, we log on to Fly, and over on the left we go to Migration Settings to Migration Policy. Up at the top, click onto the appropriate type of migration. In this case, if I'm trying to migrate into Exchange Online. And then over on the left, we click Create. We give the migration policy a name and a brief description. Scrolling, we can see the different settings that make up the migration policy. First, under Conflict Resolution, you can set the content level conflict resolution to either skip or overwrite. This only occurs if, when you are performing the migration for Exchange, there is already content in the destination. If it's a first-time migration, neither of these are going to be important. But if you're doing a recurring migration, then you should decide between identifying something that's already in the destination and not trying to migrate it again, which is what skip would do, or overwriting that content. Further down, we have Filter Policy, and we can see I currently don't have any filter policies configured. If I'd like to use one, I can click New. A filter policy allows you to dictate what should be included in the migration. And you can do that at the mailbox level, folder level, and mail level. So as an example, if you only wanted to migrate email that had been sent within the last 5 years, you would select the toggle for Mail, switch Subject to Sent, use the appropriate operator, before, after, within, older than. In this case, I'll do after. And then I can dictate how far back we want to go. Please note that any filter policy that you create and save is inclusive. So in this example, the only thing that would get migrated would be email that had been sent after January 1st, 2015. Below Filter Policy, you have User Mapping. And again, if we don't have one already set up, we can click New. User Mapping allows you to replace a source domain with a destination domain. So if the organization was switching from, say, elements.com to flyelements.com, you could replace instances in email of elements.com with flyelements.com. Or you can do user mappings. User mappings allow you to take a source user and replace them with the destination user. Email sent from Ron replaced with email sent from Bob. This is typically something that's much more commonly done in a file system or maybe SharePoint migration, where you want it to change ownership of a particular document. A file that was created by someone is now owned by someone differently. Typically in email migrations, though, these are not the types of things that you're going to do, because you want to preserve the history of those emails. Below user mapping, we also have some advanced options, which includes email address replace options, preserving your email addresses during the migration versus replacing with the destination email address, similar to what we were talking about with user mapping, but it would take everyone whose mailboxes are migrated and replace their old email addresses with their new email addresses. Again, not too commonly done, useful if the email addresses are changing. Not uncommon for an organization to move from on-premises into Office 365 and still have the same domain name. If you're doing Gmail, though, into something like Exchange Online, it is possible that the email addresses are very, very different, in which case a discussion should happen with the client as to which choice to make here. If all my settings look the way that I want, then down at the bottom we click Save. And now we can see on our Exchange tab, here is my new migration policy, which I can select as part of running my actual migration jobs. Note that if you do want to change from the default migration policy settings, this is how it is done, because you cannot edit the one that comes with Fly out of the box. Thanks for watching this short video on migration policies in Fly.